Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good night, sir. My name is Jumadil awal. I am from C class. My student number is 1741170. In this video, I'm going to present about my thesis that I have made it in previous month, and maybe I will review again in this video too. Right, so here my video is a little bit of noise because my friends are playing video games, so I do apologize because my video is a little bit noisy. Alright, so my proposal or my thesis is talking about improving students' vocabulary mastering through showing animation picture as media for students. So this my proposal research one of the school in Praia, exactly Darul Habibi in Praia. Alright, my proposal too is not talking about quantitative or qualitative, maybe, or it's not about experimental, but is this about research in a classroom. Alright, here is my thesis. Alright, there are 3 chapters that I will explain in this video. Alright, on the chapter 1, there might be explain about background of study. Okay, this is how my proposal take on that title. Alright, here is the background of study. English is an international language. English is always one of the language that is really familiar in the world. So people in some countries, they speak in English, they communicate sometime with English. So English is the best or one of the popular language in the world. Nowadays, the use of English it's very increased moreover in our country, especially for globalizations in this era. So the motivation in this language is really high. People are learning English with the meaning is really high. So the main Indonesian people can communicate with others or some foreigners from overseas by using international language, right? So that English is one of the best tools to communicate with others. So to carry out the function of the government to convey national educational system, it's stated in law number 20 year 2003 on national education system. So I think that is the most help. Yeah, that is the most taken action in our country because our government should take a deep in this problem. Yeah, rubber in language. In national education should be able to guarantee equal educational opportunities, improving the equality and relevance and efficiency. So equal access embodied in 10 years compulsory education. To improving the quality of education is directed to improving the quality of Indonesian fully human through. You have to careful in thought, right? So I think our government should take action from this problem, right? Because it is really hard, right? It's really hard for our generation, to help our young generation and the next young generation to keep or to have their language more in English language. Yeah. So I think that the most fundamental in English is vocabulary. So my proposal is taking about vocabularies. I think English language. So vocabulary is the most fundamental of this. So I think should be controlled by a person in learning English in foreign language. Yeah, it is for all students or for all people in Indonesia. So how can one express a language if student doesn't understand the vocabulary of that language, especially if it learned a foreign language? So the vocabulary of language is something that is absolutely needed by the language learners, right? If student has a sufficient vocabulary, English will automatically give more support to achievement for of the 4 English language competent. The vice versa, without having adequate vocabulary of student, will have difficulty in achieving language competence. Right. However, in fact, many students are less of English vocabulary. They cannot speak English very well. When the researchers try to speak English with them, but they couldn't speak well, right? Or they couldn't respond it well. When the researcher asks the student about greeting, example, how's life, or how are you, or good morning, or whatever is that, they just keep silent without any response. So without saying anything about English, right? So I think to take another reaction, the researcher administered vocabulary in a test. The results showed that students score of vocabularies mastery in categories low, namely. Right? Therefore, the researcher would like to improve the student vocabulary by using animation pictures as media. How do we can improve their speaking, their ability in speaking English? To improve their speaking is to take a problem in vocabulary. We have to take a look at their vocabularies, or how many vocabularies they have memorized, how many vocabularies they have mastered. The students should have many exercise. The researcher or the teacher have take action in this problem. All right. And in this addition to extending the exercise to increase vocabulary can also be done by using the media. All right. The media is one of the most important thing to have a teacher or researcher to improving their student or the students' problem in the speaking. Right? So the students are not bored. When we invite them, they will not be bored when we use the media for helping for using in this problem. We are exposing a wide variety of reading text and animations featured on them, like television, magazine, website, social media, or video game, or etc. Alright, according to Heinrich, the media is animated, a diary that transmits information between search and received. Number 3, So the media is anything that we can be used to deliver what is our message from the sender to receiver. So as to stimulate the mind or feelings or concern and interest of student is a way that learning occurs. In teaching English, the teacher we have to be able use many kinds of media, such like circulate cards, flip card, word card, and animation picture. Maybe those things or those media maybe we can use to help our problem in vocabulary mastery. So we can choose one of them. All right. Next, I would like to explain in chapter 2. In chapter 2, I like to review. Maybe there are some. There are something that I will to explain. It's like theoretical review, right? In theoretical review, there is definition vocabulary. There is types of vocabularies. There is importance of vocabularies. All right. I think that there are 3 things that I will to explain in chapter 2. All right. I will start from definition of vocabulary. Definition of vocabulary. Vocabulary master is an important to improve our speaking, right? So is it one of the important thing in order to master for 4 measures, such like speaking skill, reading skill, writing skill, and listening skill. According to Wilkins, as a state of summary, without grammar, very little can be conveyed. Without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed. So, moreover, learning vocabulary of foreign language presents the learners with several challenges. So here, that I took many experts, that they said or they have they accord about how important vocabulary in speaking English. All right, there is hammer. There is a hammer that say understanding a foreign language between the form and the meaning of words, and discriminating the meanings of closely related words. Learning vocabulary words need a process in order to make an effective process. The learner should be in effective condition of acquiring vocabulary mastery. So, as I explained it in the background of study, vocabulary takes such a fundamental role in making English. As a foreign language, there are some definitions of vocabulary proposed by some expert. Hombi, as an example, Hombi mentioned his definition of vocabulary as a total number of words in a language and vocabulary list of word their meanings. All right, I think from those experts, I can conclude that they said vocabulary is one of the important things in 4 measures. When we are improving from those measures. All right, so there is also this. Vocabulary is one of language aspect which should be learned. Learning vocabulary is important because in order to be able to speak, write, and listen, our learners have to know about vocabulary first. Yeah. A person said to know a word of what if they recognize its meaning when they see it, means that learning vocabulary learners have to know the meaning of it, or also understand, can use in the sentence context. Alright, in definition 2, there is I will to divide. There are three things in the definition of vocabulary. So they will explain about what the meaning of vocabularies and the use of vocabularies and spelling, and the last is pronunciation. So for those thing that maybe that it's so important too, because when we can spelling, when we can pronounce it word of vocabulary, because there are some word of vocabularies that they seem written, but when they pronounce it, it's different. There are some vocabulary that seem pronounce it, but the difference written. Okay, maybe we need to know, or we need to understand, we need to able in this thing too. All right. So what is the use of vocabulary? According to nation, there are some way to draw the intention of use of vocabulary by quickly. First is showing the grammatical pattern the word fits into the countable or uncountable noun. Also, there is transitive and intransitive. Giving a few similar collect mentioning any reaction on the use of word. Maybe this vocabulary is one way to draw. Next, there is spelling. In spell, spell is the writing of words or word with the necessary letters and the characteristics present in an accepted standard order and arrangement of letters that form word or part of word. That is spelling. Taking definition 2. All right, there is pronunciation. According to Howing's, pronunciation is one of language that the main of component of speech. I think pronunciation is one of the component of speech which is combined together. These components range from the individual sound that make up speech, right? To way and pitch, raise and fall of the voice used to convey meaning. All right. Next, there is types of vocabulary. The types of vocabulary, I think everyone or you have known the types of vocabulary. All right. Here, there is reading vocabularies, there is listening vocabularies, there is writing vocabularies, there is also speaking vocabularies. So let me explain you about reading vocabulary first. Reading vocabulary means is all the word he or she can recognize when reading. This is the largest type of vocabulary simply because it's include the others 3. Alright, next. Listening vocabulary. Listening is all the words he or she can recognize when listening to speech. Right? This vocabulary is aided in a size by context, a tone of voice. Alright, next, there is writing vocabularies. Writing vocabulary is all the word he or she can employ in writing, contrary the previous vocabulary types. The writing vocabulary is stimulated by the user. right? That is the definition of writing vocabulary. And the last is speaking vocabulary. Speaking vocabulary is all the word he or she can use in speech due to the spontaneous nature of speaking vocabularies. Yeah, this measures thought slight in intentional, yeah, may compensated facial expression, tone of voice, or hand gesture. Right. All right. So next, next they will explain about the importance of vocabulary. Vocabulary is the body of words that make up a language, yeah? And the importance of vocabulary in reading comprehension cannot be overstated. Without good working knowledge of words and their meanings, both written and verbal communication will be poorly understood. All right, now we are going to the last chapter. Yeah, I will to explain in the chapter 3. Yeah, chapter 3. It's explained about method and research. Yeah, first one is location and time research. The study was conducted, yeah, in the second semester of academic year 2016 and 2017. The researcher has got on the school schedule, particularly schedule of English class 7th, yeah, MA Darul Habibi Enoy Batawa Praya. The reason researchers choose these classes include, there is two reasons. First one is the student vocabulary is still poor. They seem having some ideas in their mind, but they couldn't express their ideas because they have lack of vocabulary. Okay, that is first reason. And second reason is most of the students in that school lack confidence when they speak up, when they are trying to speak with their friends or with other people, because one of the problem they have is lack of vocabulary. They are still full in vocabulary. All right, the next research design. The design of research used by the researcher is studying is classroom action research. According to Hammer, action research in this name given to series of procedures to teachers. It can engage in other because the wish, yeah, to improve aspect of their teaching. All right, next there is characteristic of classroom action research. There are three defining characteristics in take action research. That is, it is carried out, yeah, by practitioners. And the second one is it is collaborative. And then the third one is it is aimed to change things. Next, the aim of classroom action research. There are many possible reasons why for conducting a classroom action research as follows. Now we want to know more about our learners, yeah, what they find, the motivation and the challenges in their speaking. So we want to know more about the as a teacher. We are as a teacher, how effective we are to teach them, right? All right, we have to have a challenge to solve their problem that maybe they have found what is problem in this problem, like lack of vocabularies, like poor in vocabularies, and they still not confident when they speak. So we have to solve this problem. Next, there is procedure of classroom action research. Right? There are 4 components in this procedure. Right? First one is initial observation, yeah. And the second one is planning in action. The third one is wait. There is action, there is observation, and there is the last one is reflection. All right, that is observation that maybe we have to take a look in classroom. Next, there is search of data. Search of data, yeah. The search of data in this research is from what the researcher gets during the research, right? That is in qualitative research. But now is my proposal is researcher in the classroom. All right, next, the data collection. In the data collection, there are two. In this data collection, there are two maybe the content about this. There is the questionnaire. There is observation. All right. And there is there is 4, right? There is 4. There is diary note, there is interview, yeah, and the last one is documentation or test. Those explanation I can take a conclusion, right? So from my thesis. So the most important thing when we speak, when we are studying about speaking, when we remember in English speaking, the most fundamental thing that we have to know is vocabulary. So you or we can speak as a native of Indonesia. We know vocabulary from our mom, for our environments, from when we were child, right? So when we are able, when we have been master in vocabulary, yes, maybe start to speak, it's really easier. The most vocabulary you have, the easier that you will get speak. All right. Maybe thank you. That is my presence. All right. That is my review about my thesis. All right. I'm so sorry, and I do apologize if my word or some action or my act that you offended you or hurt you, and I'm so sorry about anything that I have done since we studying in seminar on ELT. All right, and thank you so much for nice, and see you in next